Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're opening up a file that I think, it keeps a lot of us up at night.
Mm-hmm.
Just staring at the ceiling, thinking about that gap, that frustrating, annoying, just seemingly unbridgeable gap between who we are right now
Yeah.
and who we desperately want to be.
The gap between the current self and the ideal self. I mean, it's the universal human condition, isn't it?
It really is. And that ideal version of you could be someone who runs marathons
Yeah.
or speaks fluent Spanish or, let's be honest, just has a clean kitchen counter for once. We all have the goal. We
Yeah.
can see it, but we don't have the map.
Or, and I think this is even worse, we have the wrong map. We're holding a map for a sprint when we're actually, on a cross-country hike.
That's a great way to put it.
We think it's all about effort and adrenaline and this massive action, when really it's about something much, much quieter.
Today we are deep diving into Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, another self-help book. Another guy telling me to wake up at 4 a.m. and hustle. But this really isn't that.
At all. No.
This book is like a technical manual for your own psychology. It's less rah-rah motivation and much more, engineering. We've combed through it, the case studies, the science behind it, to figure out why we fail at change and how to actually hack our own system.
And the hack isn't what people think. It's not about some superhuman willpower. It's about biology, a little bit of math, and some clever design.
So let's get into it.
Right.
And we have to start with the story that opens the whole book because, honestly, if you only remember one thing from this deep dive, it should be this. It sets the stage for everything. We have to go back to 2003, Great Britain, professional cycling.
Right, so you have to picture this. In 2003, British professional cycling was, to put it politely, a dumpster fire.
Okay, so how bad are we talking here?
We are talking historically impressively bad, like a legacy of mediocrity that had lasted for over a century. Since 1908, British riders had won exactly one gold medal at the Olympics.
One in almost 100 years.
One. Yeah, that's it.
That's statistically difficult to be that bad.
It gets worse. In the Tour de France, which is, it's the Super Bowl of cycling,
Main event.
no British cyclist had ever won. Not once.
Yeah.
In 110 years.
So they were just a complete laughingstock.
Oh, completely. It was so bad. And this is an incredible detail from the book. One of the top bike manufacturers in Europe actually refused to sell bikes to the British team.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't even take their money.
No. They were afraid that if other professionals saw the British team riding their gear, it would actually hurt their own brand.
Wow.
They literally thought, if those guys use our bikes, people will think our bikes are slow. That's how low their reputation was.
That is just brutal. I mean, imagine walking into a store and they say, no, sorry, we can't sell you these Nikes. You'll make them look bad.
Exactly. So they are at absolute rock bottom. And in 2003, the governing body for British cycling, they hire a new performance director, a guy named Dave Brailsford. Now, usually when a team is this bad, you expect the new boss to come in and just clean house.
Right. You expect the big Coach Carter speech, fire everybody, massive overhaul, go big or go home.
Exactly. But Brailsford was different. He didn't believe in the one big fix. He believed in this concept he called the aggregation of marginal gains.
The aggregation of marginal gains.
Okay, that sounds like something you'd hear in a really boring economics class.
It sounds dry, I know, but the philosophy is just, it's fascinating. It's the simple idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then just improved each of those things by 1%, you would get this huge increase when you put them all back together.
So he wasn't looking for the one thing that makes you 100% better.
No.
He was looking for 100 little things that each make you 1% better. Precisely. And they started with the obvious stuff. They redesigned the bike seats to be more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They had these electrically heated overshorts to keep the rider's muscles at the ideal temperature.
Okay, that all makes sense for cycling. That's, standard sports science stuff.
But then Brailsford went granular. He went into the absurd. And this is where that marginal gains philosophy really, really shines. They started looking at areas that nobody else was even thinking about because they seemed completely irrelevant to riding a bike.
Like what?
Okay, like massage gels. They tested all these different massage gels to see which one led to the fastest muscle recovery.
Okay. I can see that.
They hired a surgeon to teach the riders the best way to wash their hands.
Hold on. They hired a surgeon to teach grown professional athletes how to wash their hands.
Think about it. If you catch a cold, you can't train for a few days. Or if you do, your performance is just garbage. If you can reduce the number of colds on the team by even 5% over a year, that's hundreds of training hours saved. That is a marginal gain.
That is. It's logically sound, but also just incredibly specific.
Oh, it gets
Okay,
better.
yeah.
They figured out the exact type of pillow and mattress that led to the best possible night's sleep for each individual writer.
Okay.
And then, and this is the crazy part, they would haul those specific mattresses and pillows from hotel to hotel during the big competitions.
So every single night, no matter where they were sleeping on their own perfectly optimized setup.
Sleep hygiene is massive for recovery. You sleep 1% better, you recover 1% faster, it all adds up.
I love the detail about the truck. You have to tell them about the truck.
This is my favorite example of Brailsford's obsession. They painted the inside of the team truck stark white,
The truck that transports all the bikes, why would they do that?
so they could spot tiny little bits of dust. Dust is the enemy of finely tuned mechanical gears. If there's dust on the floor of the truck, it gets into the bike chain, right?
Sure.
If the inside of the truck is pure white, you see the dust immediately, you clean it up, and the bikes stay in pristine condition.
That is just next level attention to detail. It almost sounds clinically obsessive.
It is. But here's the kicker. When Brailsford took over, he said that if they did all this right, they would win the Tour de France within 5 years.
Which, I mean, given that they hadn't won it in 110 years, must have sounded completely impossible.
He was wrong.
Oh,
They didn't win it in 5 years. They won it in 3.
wow.
Just 5 years after he took over at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the British cycling team won 60% of the available gold medals.
60%. That's not just winning, that's domination.
And then 4 years later, in London, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. And that Tour de France victory that had eluded them for over a century, Bradley Wiggins won it that same year. Then Chris Froome won it in 2013, 15, 16, and 17.
So they went from, please don't ride our bikes, you're embarrassing us, to winning 5 Tour de France titles in 6 years.
All because of these tiny things. Pillows, hand washing, white paint. And that is the hook of Atomic Habits. How do you replicate that British cycling transformation in your own life? It's not about the one big breakthrough. It is about the compound interest of self-improvement.
Which brings us to the author, James Clear.
Yeah.
Because he didn't just, stumble onto this theory in a lab somewhere. He didn't just interview cyclists. He lived it. And his story in the introduction to the book, honestly, it's harrowing.
It's incredible he even survived, let alone recovered the way he did.
Yeah. So to give some context, he's in high school, sophomore year. He's a baseball player. And on the final day of his sophomore year, a classmate takes a full swing with a bat. The bat slips out of his hands, flies through the air, and strikes James directly in the face.
Yeah.
Right between the eyes.
And this is a horrific injury. We're not talking about a black eye. The impact crushed his nose into like a distorted U shape. It shattered both of his eye sockets. He had multiple skull fractures.
Right, that he wasn't even fully aware of how bad it was at first.
Yeah.
But then things they went south really fast.
Very quickly. His brain started to swell. He lost consciousness. He had multiple seizures right there in the hospital. He stopped breathing on his own. They had to put him into a medically induced coma and put him on a ventilator.
I mean, this is a kid who just wanted to play baseball. And suddenly, he's in a fight for his life.
And when he finally woke up, the recovery was just brutal. He'd lost his sense of smell. His eye was literally bulging out of its socket. He had to relearn how to walk in a straight line. I mean, his baseball dreams were basically incinerated in a split second.
And this is the moment where, in a movie, there'd be a montage.
Right.
He'd tie a bandana around his head, Eye of the Tiger would be playing, he'd run up some stairs, and boom, he's a superstar.
Yeah, but real life doesn't have training montages. He came back to baseball a year later, but he was benched. He was cut from the varsity team. He barely played. But he didn't give up. He went to college, to Denison University, and that is where he started to discover the power of these small habits.
He didn't have a miracle recovery where he just suddenly became a superstar overnight. He had to rebuild himself from zero.
Exactly. He was forced to start small because he physically couldn't handle big. He couldn't control the injury, but he could control his environment. And he started with the absolute basics. He kept his room neat.
Make your bed. It sounds so cliche,
It is, but for him, it was about regaining a sense of agency. In a chaotic life, a made bed is a small victory. He started going to bed early to optimize his sleep, just like the cyclists. He started lifting weights, just a little bit, but consistently.
These sound like such boring, mundane things.
They are. But they gave him a sense of control, and they compounded. By the time he graduated, he was an academic All-American. He was named the top male athlete at his university. He was on ESPN, the magazine academic All-America team.
So he didn't end up playing in the MLB, but he absolutely maximized his potential. He became the best possible version of himself that he could be.
And that's the whole definition of an atomic habit, right? It has two meanings in the title of the book.
Unpack that for us.
So first, atomic, meaning tiny, like an atom, a small amount, something really easy to do. The second, atomic, as in the source of immense energy and power, like an atomic bomb. Tiny changes, remarkable results.
So let's get into the mechanics of this, because Clear loves a good math analogy. And the first concept we really need to wrap our heads around is this idea of the math of improvement.
This is one of those things that seems so obvious when you hear it, but we never actually think about it this way. So Clear breaks it down mathematically. If you get just 1% better each day for 1 year, you end up 37 times better by the time you're done.
37 times better. Not like double. 37 times.
The math is 1.11 to the power of 365. It comes out to 37.78. But, and here's the scary part, if you get 1% worse each day, you decline nearly all the way down to 0. 0.99 to the power of 365 is 0.03.
It's the difference between compound interest working for you or working against you. But the problem is, in the real world, 1%. It's invisible.
Completely invisible. And this is why we fail. Clear uses this great analogy of an airplane flight. Imagine a pilot leaving Los Angeles flying to New York City.
A cross-country flight.
If that pilot adjusts the heading by just 3.5 degrees south at takeoff, which is nothing, right? The nose of the plane moves maybe a few feet. You don't land in New York. You land in Washington, D.C.
Which is hundreds of miles away.
Exactly. A tiny, tiny change at takeoff, a tiny habit change today, results in a completely different destination over time. But while you're flying, you don't notice it.
Right.
You look out the window, you're just flying over clouds. The passengers don't feel any difference. You don't realize you're off course until you land in the wrong city.
And that's where we get discouraged, right?
Yeah.
We go to the gym for a week, we look in the mirror, and we see nothing. We say, this isn't working.
And that's what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential, or maybe a more relatable term, the valley of disappointment.
The valley of disappointment. I think I own a Congo there.
Right. We all do. Because we expect progress to be linear. We think, I put in X amount of work, I should see a Y result immediately. But compounding doesn't work like that. It's flat, 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 and then it spikes. It's an exponential curve.
He uses the stonecutter analogy, right? I think the San Antonio Spurs have this quote in their locker room.
Yes. It's from Jacob Riis. When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two, and I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before.
I love that. So if you're struggling, you're not failing. You're just storing potential. You're hammering the rock. The first 100 blows weren't wasted. They were just accumulating the pressure needed for the final break.
Exactly. You are in that latent potential phase. The work isn't wasted, it's just being stored. And then once you break through that plateau, people will call you an overnight success. They didn't see the 100 blows, they only saw the one that finally cracked the rock.
Okay, so if we accept that these tiny changes compound, the next logical question is, how do we actually make them? And usually the advice is set a goal. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to write a book. But Clear actually challenges that. He says, forget about goals. Focus on systems.
This is probably the most controversial point for people who are, obsessed with corporate productivity and goals. But his argument is, it's undeniable. He points out a survivorship bias when it comes to goal setting.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about the Olympics again. Every single athlete there has the same goal, to win the gold medal.
True. Nobody's aiming for fourth place.
Right. So if the winners and the losers have the exact same goal, then the goal cannot possibly be the thing that differentiates them.
Wow, that is such a good point. The goal is just the baseline.
The goal is the result you want. The system is the process that gets you there. If you're a coach, your goal is to win the championship. Your system is what your team does at practice every single day. If you're a writer, your goal is a finished book. Your system is the writing schedule you follow each week.
And Clear has this quote that I think needs to be printed on a t-shirt. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Goals are fleeting. Think about the yo-yo effect in dieting. You have a goal. Lose 20 pounds for my friend's wedding. So you starve yourself, you work out like crazy, you hit the goal, you look great at the wedding, and then what?
You stop the diet. You stop training. because the goal is done.
Exactly. And you gain all the weight back. Goals are about winning the game once. Systems are about staying in the game forever. True long-term thinking is goalless thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement.
Okay, so we need systems, but what drives the system? This brings us to the next concept, which for me is the deepest part of the book. It's about identity. He calls it the layers of the onion.
Yeah, visualizing behavior change like an onion is really, really helpful here. So there are 3 layers. The outer layer is outcomes, what you get. Losing the weight, publishing the book, winning the championship. Most of us focus here.
Right, we obsess over the result.
Yeah. The middle layer is process what you do, going to the gym, writing the pages, meditating. This is your actual habits.
And the center of the onion.
The center is identity, what you believe, who you are. And Clear's argument is that most people try to change from the outside in. They start with the outcome. I want to be skinny.
But real, lasting change happens from the inside out.
Exactly. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become.
He gives that example of 2 people who are quitting smoking. It's so subtle, but it perfectly illustrates the point.
Yes. So imagine 2 people are quitting. You offer a cigarette to person A. They say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit.
Which sounds reasonable. That's what most of us would say.
It does. But notice the language. I'm trying to quit. They still believe they are a smoker who is attempting to be something else. Their identity is still smoker. They're hoping their behavior will change, but their core belief hasn't.
Okay, and person B.
You offer the cigarette to person B, they say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker.
It's such a small shift in wording, but it feels completely different.
It's a total shift in identity. I'm not a smoker. Smoking isn't part of who I am anymore. It signals a shift in self-image. And when your behavior and your identity are aligned, you don't really need willpower. You're not fighting yourself anymore.
Because you're just acting like the person you already believe you are.
Exactly. True behavior change is identity change. You're not just reading a book, you are a reader. You're not just going for a run, you are a runner.
But how do you change your identity? That sounds kind of intimidating. You can't just snap your fingers and believe, I am an athlete, if you haven't left the couch in 5 years.
Right, you can't fake it. You have to prove it to yourself. And Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
A vote. I like that. It's like a little democracy inside your own head.
It is. No single instance is going to transform your beliefs. But as those votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. If you write 1 page today, you just cast a vote for I am a writer. If you go to the gym for 20 minutes, you just cast a vote for I am an athlete.
You don't have to be perfect. You just need to win the election.
You just need a majority. It doesn't matter if you cast a few votes for couch potato or smoker now and then. As long as the majority of your votes are going toward that new identity, you win.
So the goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. And every time you even just tie your shoes to go for a walk, you're voting for that identity.
Precisely.
Okay, so we have the philosophy.
Yeah.
Small changes, systems over goals, identity-based habits. Now we need the how-to, the tactical stuff. Because Clear's very practical. He lays out what he calls the 4 laws of behavior change.
This is the framework, the operating manual. If you want to build a good habit, you have to make it 1, obvious, 2, attractive, 3, easy, and 4, satisfying.
And if you want to break a bad habit,
You just do the inverse. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying.
let's walk through these one by one.
Right.
Law 1, make it obvious. This is all about the cue.
Right. The problem is that most of our habits are just. They're automatic. We don't even notice we're doing them. You walk into a dark room, you flip the light switch, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You get a notification, you pick up your phone. It's autopilot. So the first step is just awareness.
And he tells this story about the Japanese railway system that's fascinating, this pointing and calling thing.
Yes, the Shinkansen, the bullet train. If you ever watch the conductors, they look a little bit silly. They're constantly pointing at signals and yelling things out loud. Signal is green, speed is 80, all clear.
Why in the world do they do that?
It raises the status of the habit from non-conscious to conscious. By pointing and speaking, they're engaging multiple senses, their eyes, hands, voice. It forces them to be present. And it reduces errors by something like 85%.
So how do we do that in our own lives? Do I need to, point at the cookie jar and scream, this is a cookie?
Actually, kind of, yes. If you're trying to break a bad habit, verbally acknowledging it really helps. I'm about to eat this cookie and I don't actually need it. I'm just bored. It breaks the autopilot.
That's very confrontational with yourself.
It is. But for building good habits, the strategy is called implementation intentions. We're so vague. We say, I'm going to work out more. But that means nothing. It's a wish, not a plan.
So what's the fix?
The formula is simple. I will behavior at time and location. So I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym.
It just removes the decision fatigue. You don't have to decide if you're going to go. It's already decided.
And you can pair this with habit stacking, which is one of the most practical tips in the whole book.
Yeah.
You take a habit you already do, like brushing your teeth or pouring your morning coffee, and you stack a new habit right on top of it.
So instead of trying to find time to meditate, you just say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Right. The coffee is the cue. It's already wired into your brain. You're just piggybacking on it. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes.
Creates a chain reaction. Okay, so that's law 1, make it obvious. Law 2 is make it attractive. This is about the craving.
This gets into dopamine. We are wired to seek rewards. And in the modern world, we are surrounded by what scientists call supernormal stimuli.
What's a supernormal stimulus?
It's basically a heightened version of reality. So think about junk food. It is engineered to be more salty, sweet, and fatty than anything you'd find in nature.
Right.
It hits what's called the bliss point. It drives our dopamine wild. So if you want to build a good habit, you have to compete with that. You have to make it attractive.
He talks about temptation bundling.
Yes, you bundle the thing you need to do with the thing you want to do. There was this engineering student in Ireland who loved watching Netflix but knew he needed to exercise more, so he hacked his stationary bike.
Hacked it how?
He wrote a program that connected the bike to his laptop. Netflix would only play if he was cycling above a certain speed.
No way.
Yeah. If he slowed down, the show would pause.
That is genius. He literally powered his entertainment with his own sweat.
He was bundling the temptation, which was Netflix, with the habit he needed to build, which was exercise.
But there's a social aspect to this too, right? The people around us.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. We imitate the close, our family and friends, the many, our tribe, and the powerful people with status. If you want to build a habit, the easiest way is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior.
The story of the Polgar sisters is wild.
Laszlo Polgar. He was an educational psychologist who had this theory that geniuses are made, not born. And he decided to test it by raising his 3 daughters to be chess champions.
And this was a deliberate experiment.
Completely. He homeschooled them. He filled the house with chess books, with pictures of famous chess players. They just played constantly. For those girls, playing chess for 6 hours a day wasn't hard work. It was just what their family did. It was normal. It was attractive because it was the currency of their household.
And what happened?
They all became grandmasters. Judith Polgar is widely considered the greatest female chess player of all time. Environment matters. If you want to be a reader, join a book club. If you want to be fit, start hanging out with fit people.
Okay, moving on to Law 3, make it easy. This is the response. And this is where my favorite rule comes in. The 2-minute rule.
This is a total game changer for procrastinators. It's based on the law of least effort, which just states that we will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work.
In other words, we're lazy.
Biologically, yes. Evolution taught us to conserve calories. So you have to reduce the friction for your good habits and increase it for your bad ones. If you want to eat more fruit, put a bowl of apples right on the counter, not hidden away in a drawer.
Right.
If you want to practice guitar more, buy a stand and put it in the middle of your living room.
And for bad habits.
Increase the friction. If you want to watch less TV, unplug it after you use it, take the batteries out of the remote and put them in another room.
So you have to actually work for the bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to plug it in and find the batteries every single time, you'll probably just give up and read a book instead.
Exactly. But the 2-minute rule is about starting. Clear says, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
But wait, if my goal is to run a marathon, running for 2 minutes seems completely pointless.
It does seem pointless if you're focused on the outcome. But remember, you're not trying to run a marathon yet. You're trying to master the art of showing up. You can't optimize a habit that doesn't exist. Run a marathon is daunting. Tie my running shoes is easy.
So you just scale it all the way down. Read a book every day becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat.
Yes. And once you've started, once you've taken out the rat, once you're in your running shoes and out the door, it's so much easier to keep going. The hardest part is overcoming the friction of the start.
I love that. Master the art of showing up. Okay, Law 4,
Yeah.
make it satisfying. This is the reward.
This is the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided.
The problem is most good habits have really delayed rewards.
Right. You go to the gym today, you aren't fit tomorrow, you save a little money today, you're not rich tomorrow. The reward is way off in the future, but the cost, the effort, is right now.
And bad habits are the complete opposite. Eating a donut feels great now. The punishment, gaining weight, that's in the future.
So to stick with good habits, you have to find a way to add an immediate reward. You need to feel successful now.
The paperclip strategy.
Yes. Trent Daresman. He was a rookie stockbroker. He had 2 jars on his desk. One was filled with 120 paper clips. The other was empty.
Okay.
And every single time he made a sales call, he would move 1 paper clip from the full jar to the empty jar.
And he wouldn't go home until all the clips were moved.
It's so simple, but it's visual. You can see the progress. It's satisfying to move that clip. It gives you that little hit of, I did it. It's tactile proof of your work.
It's like closing the rings on your Apple Watch.
Yeah.
A little bit silly, but it totally works.
It's visual proof that you cast a vote for your identity. Jerry Seinfeld does the same thing with a calendar. He has to write jokes every day. So for every day he writes, he puts a big red X on that date on a huge wall calendar.
And after a few days, you start to get a chain of X's.
Right. And his only goal is don't break the chain. You're not writing jokes to be funny. You're writing jokes to keep that chain alive. It gamifies the habit.
So we have the 4 laws. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second. We're all human. We mess up. We miss a day. What happens then?
This is where his advice on the all-or-nothing mentality is so crucial. He has one simple rule. Never miss twice.
Never miss twice.
If you miss a workout today, fine, you're human. Life gets in the way. But you do not miss the next one. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new bad habit.
That is so powerful because we usually spiral, right? Oh, I ate a cookie. The diet is ruined. I might as well just eat the whole box.
Exactly. We shame ourselves into oblivion. But Clear says the bad workout, the one where you feel tired and you just go through the motions, that is actually the most important workout you do because it maintains the habit. It still casts the vote for your identity.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about not giving up entirely. It's about being the person who doesn't miss twice.
Right. Even a sluggish day maintains the compound gains you've already built. Just don't break the chain.
So we've covered a ton here. Let's try to distill some practical takeaways. If you're listening to this right now, what's something you can do today?
Okay, number 1, audit your environment. Just look around you right now. What are the cues? Is the remote control staring at you from the coffee table? Hide it. Is your water bottle nowhere in sight? Put it on your desk right in front of you. Design your space to make the good habits obvious and the bad ones invisible. You are the architect of your own reality.
Love that. Number 2, use the 2-minute rule. Whatever habit you've been dreading, just scale it all the way down. Commit to only 2 minutes. I will open my notebook and write 1 sentence. I will put on my gym clothes. Just start.
And number 3, habit stack. Identify something you already do on complete autopilot. Brushing your teeth, getting in the car, and tack a tiny new habit onto it. After I buckle my seatbelt, I will take 1 deep breath. Takes no extra time.
Those are great. Now, I want to play devil's advocate for a second, or at least bring up some discussion points. Who is this book really for? Is this just for people who want to be, like, productivity robots?
I don't think so at all. I think the people who benefit most are the ones who feel stuck. The people who think they're fundamentally broken because they can't stick to a diet or a budget. This book tells them, you are not broken. Your system is broken.
It's compassionate in that way. It sort of removes the guilt.
It is, and it's also huge for leaders and managers. That marginal gains approach from British cycling, that's a management philosophy. It applies to a business just as much as it applies to personal fitness.
How do you think this compares to other habit books? Like, I'm thinking of Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit.
That's a great question. I mean, Duhigg is sort of the godfather of this modern habit science, right?
He gave us the cue routine reward loop.
Exactly. And Clear builds directly on that. He adds the craving step, which is important, but I think his main contribution is just the sheer practicality. The 4 laws are an operating manual. Duhigg explains how habits work. Claire explains how to change them.
It's much more actionable.
Very. And it connects to books like Hooked by Near Owl, which is all about how tech companies design apps to be habit-forming. Clear is basically saying, hey, use their strategies against them, engineer your own life like a Silicon Valley app designer would.
Is there a downside, though? Can you be too habitual?
That is a great question, and Clear actually addresses this. He talks about the downside of creating good habits.
Oh, just what?
You stop paying attention. Once a habit becomes automatic, you stop thinking about how to do it better. You can get complacent. You're just, going through the motions.
Like you plateau.
Right. So he suggests that you need to schedule time for reflection and review. You have to periodically step back and look at your habits. Are they still serving you? Are you actually improving? Or are you just repeating the same thing?
And there's also the boredom factor. He talks about how the biggest threat to success isn't failure, it's boredom.
This is the hard truth of it. We all want the novelty. We want the aha moment. But mastery requires practicing the same fundamental thing over and over and over again.
He says the only difference between the elite and the amateur is that the elite pushes through the boredom.
That's it. Everyone gets bored. The gold medalist gets bored of training. They just do it anyway. They've learned to fall in love with the boredom.
One other thing he touches on that I think is important is genetics. He has a whole chapter on the truth about talent. He doesn't just ignore it.
No, he's very realistic. He says your genes matter. They don't determine your destiny, but they clarify what you should work on. He compares Michael Phelps to the famous long-distance runner Hicham El Guerrouj.
Right. Phelps has that long torso and short legs. Perfect for swimming. El Guerrouj is the opposite. Long legs, short torso.
If they swapped sports, they would both be mediocre at best. Phelps would be a terrible runner. So Clear says, play a game where the odds are in your favor. If you can't win the game you're playing, change the rules or pick a new game. Habits are just easier to build when they align with your natural abilities.
So don't try to force a habit that goes completely against your own grain.
Exactly. Work hard, but work hard on the right things for you.
Okay, let's hit a few memorable quotes before we wrap up. What's one that really stood out to you?
I mean, we've mentioned a few, but for me, it has to be. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. That is the core of the entire book. It makes every small, insignificant action meaningful. It gives dignity to the small things.
I really liked habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. It just reframes the timeline. It tells you to be patient. It tells you to trust the math.
And of course, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's the reality check that I think we all need to hear.
So bringing this all home, what's the core message here?
The core message is that success isn't a finish line. It's a lifestyle. It's not about having six-pack abs. It's about becoming a healthy person. It's about the process, not the destination. It's just about being 1% better today than you were yesterday.
And as we close out, I want to leave our listeners with this one final thought from the conclusion of the book. It's a philosophical paradox called the Sorites paradox.
Ah, yes, the ancient Greek parable. It asks a really simple question. Can one coin make a person rich?
Obviously not. If I give you a penny, you're not rich.
What if I add another coin?
Still not rich.
But if you keep adding coins one by one, eventually there's a point where a transition occurs. The person is now rich. But which coin did it? Was it the 10,000th coin? The millionth?
You can't say no single coin made the difference.
Exactly. No single coin made them rich, and yet the accumulation of all the coins did.
And the same is true for atomic habits. One workout doesn't make you fit. One healthy meal doesn't make you healthy. One page doesn't make you a writer. But eventually the scales tip.
So you have to keep adding the coins.
Keep adding the coins. What a great way to think about it. Well, that's it for this deep dive into atomic habits.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next time.